There are three major issues that drive developmental psychology. So in terms of the first one, nature and nurture, I want you to think about that as answering or attempting to address the question, what drives change? We know that along the human lifespan, we all change and grow. And we're looking at what are the relative contributions of nature and nurture. So some researchers will emphasize this over this. Others will actually meet in the middle and say obviously nature and nurture are working together, but they want to try to understand the process of how these two work together. And even within that process, for certain factors or characteristics that we might be studying, does one have precedence over the other, meaning how it may relate or impact the development of said factor, whatever it may be, memory, growth, etc., intelligence. Now the other issue is continuity versus stages. And one of the simplest ways to think about that is change gradual and slow, and does experience play a major role in change, in development, or stages? Folks who tend to look at developmental psychologists who emphasize the idea of that development happens in discrete and distinct stages see them as predetermined, and they will stress the role of biology, that there's a biological blueprint that is fueling and impacting the development that entails. And that word they use actually is maturation, and they use it differently than we do in our everyday life. And then finally, there's stability and change. So to make this more realistic, think of characteristics. One of the most famously studied one is temperament. Does temperament, a human characteristic, stay the same over time? So if we're studying 2-year-olds, could we predict, based on temperament test of the 2-year-old, how that individual will be when she is 40 or 50? Or does temperament in fact change due to experience and exposure to different life situations, etc.? So you can do it with any characteristic. And again, we're looking at, for this one especially, developmental psychologists want to know whether or not they can predict how people will end up, whatever it may be, intelligence, temperament, motivation, etc. So that's a very, very brief introduction to these three ideas. We're going to go into more detail for each one in subsequent vodcasts.